Snow fell silently. Inside their Vermont cabin, Lisa, Mark, and 8-year-old Ryan were a picture of Christmas Eve comfort. A fire crackled in the stone fireplace. The aroma of pine and cinnamon filled the air. Ryan, in his red pajamas, hung the last ornament on the towering Christmas tree. Perfect, Lisa smiled, adjusting a silver star. Her eyes sparkled with warmth as she looked at her family. Mark, sitting on the plush rug, sipped hot chocolate. He watched Ryan, his heart full. The isolation of the cabin, nestled deep in the woods, added to the magic. It was their sanctuary. A sudden knock echoed through the cabin. The sound was sharp, unexpected. Mark frowned, surprised. They weren't expecting visitors. Not out here, not on Christmas Eve. Ryan looked up, his face a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. Lisa put a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "I'll see who it is," Mark said, rising cautiously. He walked towards the heavy wooden door, a sense of unease settling in his stomach. Mark opened the door a crack, peering into the snowy night. A tall figure stood on the porch. He wore a long dark coat, its edges ragged with age. The stranger's face was obscured by a wide-brimmed hat. Snow clung to his shoulders, yet he seemed untouched by the cold. "Can I help you?" Mark asked, his voice hesitant. The stranger remained silent for a moment. Then he slowly tilted his head upwards, moonlight revealing his face. Mark gasped, his blood turning to ice. The man's face was as pale as death, eyes hollow and filled with an ancient sadness. Most unsettling of all, he cast no shadow in the moonlit snow. "Please," the stranger rasped, his voice a dry whisper, "may I come in? It's Christmas Eve, and I seek shelter from the cold." Mark, frozen in place, could only stare. He wanted to slam the door shut, to run back to the warmth of his family, but something held him back. The stranger's sorrow was palpable, his need almost desperate. Lisa, sensing Mark's hesitation, walked towards the door. "Mark, who is it?" she asked, peering around him. As soon as her eyes fell upon the stranger, she too felt a chill run down her spine. His presence seemed to drain the warmth from the air. Ryan, his curiosity outweighing his fear, peeked from behind Lisa's leg. Mark finally found his voice. "He asked for shelter," he said, his words barely a whisper. He looked back at the stranger, his eyes pleading for an explanation. The stranger merely nodded, his expression unchanging. Reluctantly, Mark stepped aside. The stranger entered, bringing with him a gust of icy air that seemed to cling to him like a shroud. He moved slowly, deliberately, his footsteps utterly silent on the wooden floor. He removed his hat, revealing a head of white hair untouched by time. "Please," the stranger spoke again, his voice barely audible. "Many years ago I died on this very night, lost in a blizzard just outside your door." He looked around the room, a flicker of recognition in his eyes. "This cabin, I sought shelter here, but it was empty then." Lisa gasped. The story of the cabin's previous owner, lost in a blizzard on Christmas Eve, flashed in her mind. She exchanged a terrified look with Mark. They were harboring a ghost. The stranger turned back to them, his eyes filled with a profound sadness. "Thank you," he whispered, a faint smile touching his lips, "for letting me find peace at last." And then, as quickly as he had appeared, he was gone. The room felt warmer, lighter. The only evidence of his presence was a faint chill in the air. From that Christmas Eve onwards, the family honored the stranger's memory. Every year they left their door unlocked, a place set at their table, a silent tribute to the lost soul who had finally found his way home.